Let's start with the ones that just made you miserable and work our way up to the diseases that changed the shape of human history. Number 10, the sweating sickness. If you were living in England in the 1500s, this was the disease that made you afraid to fall asleep. It hit fast, it hit hard, and it killed most of its victims within a single day. You would feel a chill in the morning, break into a sweat by lunch, and be dead before dinner. What made it truly terrifying was that nobody could figure out where it came from. It appeared in 5 separate waves across a few decades, killed thousands, and then simply vanished from history. To this day, no one knows what caused it, no one knows what pathogen was responsible, and no one knows why it disappeared. Some scientists think it was a hantavirus carried by rodents. Others think it was a completely unknown disease that we have never seen since. Whatever it was, if it came back tomorrow, we would have no vaccine, no treatment, and no idea how to stop it. Number 9, tuberculosis. Also known as consumption, this one killed 1 out of every 7 people who ever lived in Europe during the 1800s. It attacks the lungs slowly, making its victims cough up blood, lose all their weight, and slowly waste away over months or years. Doctors did not even know what caused it until 1882, and there was no real cure until the 1940s. For most of human history, if you caught tuberculosis, your only treatment was fresh mountain air and prayer. Entire industries were built around this disease. Sanatoriums popped up all over the world where the sick were sent to die slowly with a view. And here is the part most people forget. Tuberculosis is not gone. It still infects around 10 million people every single year and kills over 1 million of them. You just do not hear about it, because it mostly kills the poor in places the news does not cover. Number 8. Cholera. If you have ever wondered why old cities smell so bad in movies, this is the disease that made them that way. Cholera lives in dirty water. It hits your gut like a bomb and turns you into a fountain of fluid loss. A healthy adult can go from perfectly fine to dead in under 12 hours through pure dehydration. In the 1800s, cholera swept through cities like London and New York, killing tens of thousands at a time. The reason it spread so fast was that nobody understood germs yet, so people just kept drinking the same contaminated water that was killing their neighbors. A doctor named John Snow finally figured it out by tracking cases in London back to a single water pump on Broad Street. He removed the pump handle, and the outbreak stopped almost overnight. That single act basically invented the entire field of modern epidemiology. Number 7, typhus. This is the disease that decided more wars than any general in history. Typhus is carried by lice, which love crowded conditions, which is why it thrives during wars, prison stays, and refugee crises. Napoleon lost most of his army to typhus during his failed invasion of Russia, not to Russian soldiers. In World War I, typhus killed more people in Serbia than every bullet fired in that country combined. The victim gets a high fever, a spreading rash, and slips into a delirium that often does not end well. The lice bite you, and the bacteria enter through the scratches you make yourself. You are literally infecting yourself by trying to relieve the itch. That is the kind of cruel efficiency that makes some diseases feel almost intentional. Number 6, malaria. This is the oldest killer on this list, and possibly the deadliest one in the entire history of our species. Malaria has been infecting humans for at least 50,000 years and may have killed half of every person who has ever died on this planet. Read that sentence again. Half of every human being who has ever existed may have died from a mosquito bite. The disease is caused by a parasite that hijacks your red blood cells and multiplies until they explode. You get cycles of chills, fevers, and drenching sweats that come every few days like a nightmare on a schedule. Even today, malaria kills around 600,000 people every year, most of them children under 5. The scariest part is that mosquitoes are winning the arms race against every drug we invent. Every few years, a new strain shows up that shrugs off treatments that used to work perfectly. Number 5, smallpox. Before it was eradicated, smallpox was the most feared disease on Earth for over 3,000 years. It killed around 30% of everyone it infected, and survivors were left blind, disfigured, or both. When European explorers reached the Americas, they accidentally brought smallpox with them, and it killed around 90% of the native population. That is not a typo. 9 out of 10 indigenous people died from smallpox after first contact. Entire civilizations that had existed for thousands of years were essentially erased within a single generation. But here is where the story turns. Smallpox is the only human disease we have ever completely wiped off the planet. Through a global vaccination campaign that ran from 1967 to 1980, humanity killed the disease before it could kill anyone else. The last natural case happened in 1977 in Somalia. 2 frozen samples remain in secure labs, one in America and one in Russia. and there is still a debate about whether we should destroy them for good. Number 4, HIV and AIDS. This is the pandemic that most people watching this actually lived through, whether they realize it or not. HIV jumped from chimpanzees to humans in Central Africa sometime in the early 1900s. For decades, it spread quietly in small pockets, unnoticed by the rest of the world. Then in the 1980s, it exploded into a global crisis that has killed over 40 million people so far. What makes HIV terrifying is that it attacks the exact cells your immune system uses to fight it. It hides inside your DNA. It rewrites the code of your own body. It is patient in a way that no other virus is. For years, an HIV diagnosis was a death sentence. Today, it is a manageable condition thanks to antiretroviral drugs, but the virus is still infecting millions of new people every year. Number 3, the Spanish flu. The name is misleading. It did not start in Spain, and Spain got blamed only because they were the only country openly reporting the deaths during World War I. The 1918 flu pandemic killed somewhere between 50 and 100 million people in about 2 years. That is more than all the deaths of both world wars combined. What made this flu so unusual was that it killed young, healthy adults the most. Normal flu targets the very young and the very old, but this one triggered such an extreme immune response that the strongest bodies destroyed themselves trying to fight it. Soldiers came home from the war expecting a hero's welcome and dropped dead within days of arriving. Cities set up temporary hospitals in ice rinks and armories because they ran out of morgue space. And when it was over, the world just moved on and mostly forgot about it, which is honestly the strangest part. Number 2, the Black Death. This is the disease that literally rewrote European history in the space of about 4 years. Between 1347 and 1351, the bubonic plague killed between 30 and 60% of everyone alive in Europe. Whole villages were emptied, entire noble families were wiped out. In some places, so many people died that there was nobody left to bury the bodies. The plague was spread by fleas that lived on rats, and the rats traveled on merchant ships across the Mediterranean. Within 4 years, a disease that started in Central Asia had killed a third of a continent. Victims developed black swellings called buboes in their armpits and groin, which is where the name comes from. They would vomit blood, run terrible fevers, and usually die within a week. But the real horror was what happened after. The survivors inherited a world with too much food, too many empty houses, and not enough workers. The Black Death shattered the entire medieval class system and set the stage for the Renaissance itself. Number 1, the disease of the future. This is the one that has not happened yet, and it is the one that scientists lose sleep over. Every few decades, a completely new virus jumps from animals to humans and starts a pandemic nobody was prepared for. HIV in the 70s, SARS in the early 2000s, Ebola, swine flu, COVID. Each of these was a warning shot. Somewhere out there, in a bat cave in Asia or a jungle in Africa, the next great pandemic virus is already circulating in an animal host. We do not know what it will be. We do not know when it will jump. We do not know how deadly it will be when it does. But we do know one thing for certain. It is coming. And the scariest part is not the virus itself. The scariest part is that we live in a world where a person can be in a rainforest one morning and in a crowded airport by evening. A truly deadly virus with a long incubation period could spread to every continent before we even know it exists. That is the reality of infectious disease in the 21st century. The next time you cough into your elbow and use hand sanitizer without thinking about it, remember that those habits were paid for in millions of lives across thousands of years of human history. We are the first generation in history to fight these diseases with real weapons, and we are still barely winning.